Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today we're moving on to Pauri 26, Amul Gun Amul Vapar. So the previous Pauri talked about the amazing wonder of the Creator's works and Creator's bakshish. Bata karam likhya na jaye, oda karam odi bakshish, or ode kam, what the Creator's actions cannot be counted. In this, it's a continuation of the same thought, but specific to the qualities. And there's two parts to it. The first part dwells upon how each of us in this world is a trader, a merchant. That's our inherent nature. We calculate when we give and take. That's how we are built. You know, we come here, we get engaged in our professions, but everything is calculated. Everything is trade. We calculate people's net worth. We calculate in our heads what their status in life is, what their education is, where they live, how our interaction with them will benefit us. And everything operates in that mode of commerce. You know, it's all commerce, give and take. In the realm of a Kalpurak, there is no commerce. There's a different kind of commerce. And somehow, as human beings, there also we take our commercial bent of mind. And let me explain what I mean by that. So it's very obvious what we do in the world, right? We're always, I have seen people make lists of gifts they get at weddings so that they remember who gave what, so that next time around they can give them the same thing, you know. And everything is based on what the person has given you. And it doesn't matter whether it's monetary or it's favors, right? And you can take this to any extent. We're always currying favors. And if people betray us, then we become revengeful. You know, what's happening in New Jersey is right now bringing Chris Christie down is a very petty example of what happens when someone who's well respected gets ticked off because another politician didn't support him. So there is no purity in our actions. There is no unconditional giving in our actions. This phrase, unconditional love, is just almost a euphemism. There is no such thing as unconditional love. Even with the children, when they don't listen to you, you get mad at them. Yeah, you love them for sure, but it's like, you know, don't talk to me. I don't want to have anything to do with you, right? I mean, they say that a mother's love is perhaps the only love that's unconditional. Anyway, that's not the subject. But what we do in the spiritual realm is, we've seen that we'll say, oh, I've done so many parts, and I'm going to do. I want this, and they'll say, "Acha ji, tusi," even the elders of the community, the wise folks of the community will tell us, "Tusi ji, panchakhand path karao. This is what's going to kato this rog or this bimari or whatever." So everything has a price tag. Everything has a value attached to it. What does not have value, the only thing that is priceless, that cannot be quantified, is Vaheguru's gun. They are beyond being calculated. They are beyond being fathomed. There is no price tag to them. Amul gun. What are the guns? The compassion, the kindness, the forgiveness, the bounty, the benevolence in every sphere. The gifts. I mean, you start with the body, what we have, this body that functions beautifully, where he's given us this heart, this conscience, this inner voice that is tracking us to the source. Amul gun, amul vapar. There's all kinds of trades happening. But this trade with Vaheguru Ji is priceless. There is no way you can quantify it. There is a beautiful Shabad that Gurjot used to sing. He doesn't sing anymore, but I reminded him of this morning, and I think I've left it in the car, but it's a Shabad of Namdev Ji, and Namdev Ji writes about his house. His house is the body, being very beautiful. It has become very beautiful. It's become very radiant. And someone asks him, who has built this house for you? I want the name of this carpenter. I want to know where to go to find him, right? So these days when we need someone really good, we have these websites where we go to where 5-star, workers are recommended, and we look at the reviews before we see a movie. And say, oh, okay, this is not bad. So it says, this is a great review, seeing how radiant you are. I want the name of this carpenter, and I want to know what are his wages. What do I pay him? How do I hire him? And Namdev Ji says that this bedi, this carpenter of mine, preet majuri mange. The wages of hiring this carpenter that builds this beautiful house is love. It's just love. And he says, I can't give you this carpenter's name. I've given myself to him, and that's how I've gotten his commitment. It's a beautiful Shabad. And this thought is also, it resonates in Kabir Ji's and several other gurus' banis. And Kabir Ji says that, Man de Ram liya hai mool. I've given my mind, I've given myself to buy Vaheguru, to mole is, I've given this money to buy this. So that's the vapar that is needed in when we want Vaheguruji's love. It's very different from the worldly vapar, the worldly trade commerce that we are engaged in. Amul gun, amul vapar. Amul vapar ye amul pandar. So folks that trade are countless, whether it's the commerce of the world or the commerce of the spiritual realm. There's a lot of them, but what differentiates the commerce, or those who trade in the commerce of Akal Purakh, is that they are priceless. The worth of the Vapari also becomes priceless. Just like the worth of the Creator is priceless, and that trade is priceless and cannot be quantified and cannot be measured. So the Vaparis, the traders, also become priceless. Amul Vapari hai. Unna da vi vapar enna vadda ho janda hai, that you cannot count the net worth. There is the wealth of the world, that when so you're doing well and it multiplies, but when you start spending it, right, it starts decreasing. And that's why people want it multiplied, and they keep working and they keep engaging in that trade so that wealth increases. They invest in portfolios that bring them higher gains so that wealth continues to multiply and doesn't decrease. But it's not in their control. The stock markets fail, unforeseen things happen, and that wealth is always at risk. It will always go down. But this wealth, the more you spend it, the more you trade on it, it increases. And this is the wealth that when you leave, your bank balance is huge. And so the Guru says, Amul Vaparye, Amul Pandar. The treasures, the bank balance of these traders who have given their mind and bought Vaheguru, who have paid the wages of love to this carpenter who has built a beautiful house, their pandar, their treasures, their bank balance, their net worth is Amul. You cannot quantify it, you cannot count it. Amul Ave, Amul La Jaye. Such traders, when they come into this world and they come to share the Naam, the Guru says about them, Janam maran tohu mein nahi, jan par upkari aaye. When these people come to trade, some people come with a purpose to just trade this name. They are the saints, they are the sages, they are those that put us on this path of this kind of trade. And those people, when they come, their coming is priceless. Because they are here on a very special mission. And they're not caught up in the circle of life or death. And they're not quantified by what you think of them. And they don't feel marginalized if you criticize them. And they don't puff up like a big balloon when you praise them. The world's ninda, the world's praise is meaningless to them. The Nave Mahalle that Shabad, Jo nar dukh mein dukh nahi mane, sukh sane aur paine jaake. There's a beautiful line in it that says, Ustat ninda, they don't care. We care. We care about our reputation because it affects our worth, our worldly reputation, what people think of us. But then there are the priceless ones, the amol ones that come. They have a different purpose. And we can become those people when we engage in that trade. Our worth goes up when we share the Naam. Our worth goes up when we buy, when we purchase that with our own love. And when that becomes our currency. Amul Aave, then priceless is our coming into this world. Priceless is that purpose that has been given to us. Just like those who came for this, we become siblings of destiny with them. We walk that path with them and they become our brothers and sisters on a spiritual journey. And that is priceless. Amul Aave, Amul La Jaye. However much we gain and gather in this world, we leave it all behind, right? We all have heard about the story of Alexander, who said that, when I die, parade me naked, because I can take nothing with me. But those who engage in this trade, they take back with them so much, it's priceless. They say that when a Gurmukh dies, chariots come to receive him. Not jump, and obviously these are metaphors. But in other words, they go back in glory. They go back adorned and embellished by their own qualities that they have developed by this love, by this trait that they have been engaged in. They take so much with them. And they find that abode, that home, where they find that place in the feet of the Master. They come and they go, and their coming and going is priceless. Amul Aave, Amul La Jaye, Amul Paaye, Amul La Samaye. How pleasing they are to the Creator. That is priceless. Even that cannot be counted. How much they are adored and adorned. The Bhat said this of Guru Ramdas. Tan Tan Ramdas Guru Jin Sirya Tene Savarya. वो आप सवारता है, वो आप एम्बेलिश करता है अपने भक्तानों, अपने प्यारिਆਂ ਨੂੰ पूरी होई करामात आप सिरजनहारे थार्या. So this is what happens to those that are engaged in the love of Akal Purukh, in that unconditional giving of themselves. And the thing is, we have nothing to give. And that's what the Guru also tells us. You have given me everything, right? तेरा तुझको सौंप के क्या लाके मेरा? What do I have to give? Whatever you've given me is a gift of yours. And still I'm reluctant to give. I'll give tokens, but I'll want something more than that. Seva thodi mangan bhota. I'll do a little bit and I'll keep an account that I go to the Gurdwara every Sunday. Bad stuff shouldn't happen to me. And I've done Langar Seva today, or whatever Seva. So that is our nature. Seva thodi mangan bhota. That's the kind of trade we do over here in this world and in our spiritual journey. But when we become selfless, then the amount of love that we receive is priceless. Sevak ko nikti hoye dikhave. You feel the presence close to you. You are protected at all times. You don't look or get old. There is a line in Gurbani says that Gurmukh buddhe nahi honte. Their body remains a rogue. It doesn't touch them. Because Naam is the ultimate akhad, the ultimate medicine, the ultimate cure. So the love of God is countless. And it is that Midas touch that turns you into gold. And the price of that gold doesn't fluctuate. You don't have to watch the stock market to see whether it's gone down or gone up. Amul pai, amulla samai. And then the next most priceless milestone, blend with that force. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਮਾ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ. Kabir ji says that loving Akal Purakh, now I'm one with him. Ram Kabira have become one. I don't know where the difference is. I don't know where the separation is. Tu karte tu hua. I've been remembering you and I've become you. That's the progression. That's what happens. The Naam is the catalyst that turns you into gold. Amul pai, amulla samai. Priceless is that union when you become one. In a previous party, it said, gave the simile of the nadi that becomes one with the ocean. Nadiyan te pave samundr na janiya. Apna aap gwa dindi hai nadi. Ta samundr milta hai, ta samundr di embrace milti hai. And then you cannot tell where the nadi was. All that you see is the ocean. All that you see is the oneness. Amul pai, amulla samai. Amul taram, amul divan. The laws are priceless. They cannot be estimated, they cannot be counted, they cannot be quantified. The sun rises and sets. The oceans are bound. They don't take over the land. In the same Shabad that I was quoting, that where it says that give me the name of the carpenter, it says that this carpenter has bound the oceans, has limited the force of the oceans. Otherwise they would run over. Has contained the heat of the sun. Otherwise it would burn us. Has suspended the planet Earth on its axis in a way that if it tilts a few degrees more, it'll drop into the ocean and vanish. If it came closer to the sun, it would get burned. But there are laws of dharma that have been put in place that are priceless, that won't fluctuate, and that are holding everything in place. And the same with our body. It's in perfect balance. And when something goes out of balance, it takes all kinds of diagnostic tests to figure out where the imbalance is. And sometimes years go by and you can't figure out where the imbalance is. But the laws the laws are immutable. And what is the law that we want to keep in mind above all? And that law is Jo main kiya so main paya. That the way I act, what I sow, I'm going to reap. And when we remember that, the way we act in this world changes. Because we know that we are accountable. That is a law. That is the law of dharma. That is the law of righteousness. There are many others, and we want to know what they are. Another law is, another principle, another thing that holds it all together is that you have to learn to forgive, because that's a divine quality. Shama nu shingar kya hai? Ornament kya hai? But we forget that. That's the law. Because if you don't, then you create walls, and walls create disease and discomfort. These are immutable things. These are structures and pillars that have been put in place. And Sri Guru Granth Sahib is a road map to those. And that's why when we study it, it's not enough. You have to follow it, imbibe it, live it, practice it. On a daily basis. Chisel our minds by the Guru's Shabad, by the Guru's word, by following it. Just like a sculptor just chisels away and then a goddess appears or a god appears. That's what we have to do with this mind. Following those laws that are priceless. Amul Taram, Amul Diwan. Those audiences, those courts are amazing. Those abodes are priceless. Those treasures are priceless. Amul Tul Amul Parwan. That scale that measures us is priceless too. It never errs. You know, there is in India, I remember that when we used to go buy something, we would always tell the person, the vendor who was selling it, that set your scale correctly. Because generally what they did was that they would tilt their hand in such a way that they could get away by giving you less of whatever it was that you were purchasing. But the scale of a Akal Purakh is immutable, it's priceless. Many times we wonder, why is this happening? Where is God's justice? Why are people getting away with murder or doing bad things? But remember that scale of justice is priceless. You cannot understand its ways. Parwan is the stone that weighs, you know, the avata ik kilo da. This is the stone of 2 pounds. And Amul is that stone, that weight, that weighs it. You cannot fathom it, you cannot quantify it, you cannot understand it. You question it. But understand that eventually, what's heavier? What is heavier? This is really interesting. What is heavier? What weighs more? One that goes down. Humility. Think of it in the scale. You don't want to get the stuff on the side that goes up. You say, oh, wala chahiye, you know, it goes down, and that it's weighed. So, humility is what you want to bring with you. When all is weighed, it's those that are humble that are valued. Amul tul, amul parwan, amul bakshish, amul nishan. There is no count to the blessings, to the bakshish. Where do you even begin? Where do you even start? Your gratitude. What all are you grateful for? Everything. to be able to get up in the morning from your bed unaided. You take your health for granted. You take your gifts for granted. We always do that, all of us. एक भी ना दे 10 भी हर ले तो मूड़ा कहा करे. You've gotten 10 things and you don't value any of them, and you lose one and you whine and cry. What are you going to do? Priceless are the gifts. Wake up and see and realize how blessed and gifted you are. Amul Bakshish, Amul Nishan. Nishan is what's visible, the symbols, the insignias. What is the Nishan of the gifts? Everything around us. Everything. Every particle, the air you breathe is a gift. Keep it pure. The water you drink when you are thirsty is a gift. These are the signs, these are the manifestations. To be able to drink, the gift, the basic, the air, to be able to breathe. Ask someone who has asthma how hard it is to even breathe that air, which is priceless. Not able to breathe. Not able to drink water. I couldn't drink it last week. I would drink 1 drop of water and I would have to rush.
So what did you say Nissan meant?
Nissan is manifestation, science, Nishan, kisi cheez da symbol. I translate it as manifestation of the gift. Nishan is mohor. Literally it's oda nishan hai, oda sign hai. But really what it is, it's manifestation of the gift. It's all around us. The gifts are there. Sometimes our capacity to enjoy them goes away, but the gifts remain. They're endless. The giver doesn't stop giving. We get old and sometimes are not able to receive, not able to breathe that air, not able to drink that water, not able to enjoy the sunshine. These are just very basics and we don't recognize them. Ask the people on the East Coast what a warm day means to them when the freeze has just taken over everything. And yet the sun will come out with the command. Another beautiful line comes to mind. Babiha Amrit Vele Bolya. The bird chanted in the morning, sang in the morning. Tadar Suni Pukar. Vaheguru heard it. And then what? Meke no farman hua. Commanded the rain, the cloud. Bring the rain. Varsho kir padhar. So everything is dependent upon the command. And that's the next line. Amul Furman. That command is priceless. That hears the plea and the yearning of the beloved and gives the bakshis. That hears the pain of every heart. It's another line in Gurbani. So inside you knows the pain that even an ant goes through. There is a verse of Sheikh Farid that says the most precious, the most tender, the most beautiful thing in the world is the human heart. Don't hurt it. This is the furman through the lips of a beloved of Akal Purakh. The furman is don't hurt anyone. So Amul are the furmans. This Gurbani is the furman of Akal Purakh. Turki Bani Ai, Jin Sagli Chint Mitai. Amul Karam. Karam is Bakshish. Amul Karam, Amul Furman. And then the Guru says, Amul lo Amul Akhya na jaye. After saying this, so I can't describe it. It's so priceless. It's so beyond everything I know that I cannot describe it. I cannot say anymore. I can keep on saying it. But it's so beyond me, so fathomless, that it cannot be described. Aak aak rahe live life. There are people who say, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out through contemplation, reflection, meditation, Bani, Simran. I'm going to sit down and close my eyes and get away from the world, and I'm going to think and I'm going to experience it. And then, like Buddha and like others, they get it. And they come back to share it. But in the end they say, there's this void. This is beyond description. Today people say, Buddha didn't believe in God. I don't think so. He said that there is something, there is nothing. There is everything, there's nothing. There is this shunya, this vastness. Amullo mul akhya na jaye. I can't describe it. Gunge ki mithai, Gurbani says, is another phrase. That the one who's dumb, savors the sweetness, but cannot describe it, cannot tell you what it is. And then all that they can say is, Wah, 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 wow, wow, ka vada tamasha. This play is so wow. You see nature, the sargun aspect of God. You see the glaciers. It's so amazing. And you see when the thunder, when they break, you see them floating. You see this, you go, wow. I was telling someone yesterday that Indamon Virji takes these seeds and he has his own little greenhouse and he creates saplings. And then you see his garden and you go, wow, Virji, you did amazing. His flowers are always blooming because he's a gardener that nurtures them with love. And he starts from the seed. And he takes care. And he prunes them and he cuts them. And then you see his garden and you go, wow. And you look at another piece of land where someone has not bothered. And you go, wow, you don't want to look at it. You look away. So you cannot describe, you cannot describe what you experience. You can only express your wonder. Amul amul akhya na jaye, aakh rahe live life. They have contemplated, meditated, and then they have merged back, or they've come back to teach, and then they become the teachers. And that's the coming and going. Janparupkariya. Amul Parwan, Amul Baksis, Amul Nisan. Okay. Aak re, Aakhe Ved Path Puran. So the Guru here is talking about all those scriptures and all those sages and all those prophets who have experienced and who have related and yet couldn't relate enough. Aakhe Ved, all the scriptures, the Purans, and those who have studied them, people who have read them, Aakhe Pade Kare Vichaar, they've read them, like we are reading Gurbani, and we're trying to explain it, but we still cannot explain it. And Bhai Veer Singh said this, that the problem about talking about spiritual vastness is that the human vocabulary is limited. The human experience cannot be put into the words because those words don't exist. Aakhe pade kare vikhyan, aakhe barme aakhe ind. The Burmas, the Ind, the deities, they've all experienced it, and in their own way they've sang the glories. Oh, I think I lost the space. Aakhe barme aakhe ind, aakhe gopi te govind, aakhe isar aakhe siddh, aakhe kitte kitte buddh, aakhe danav aakhe dev, aakhe surjan munjan sev, Kete aake aakhan paaye, kete keh keh utho jaye. So after saying all these things, the deities, the gods, the prophets, the scriptures, the shrutis, the puranas, even these are the those that have practiced goodness. And then he also says the evil, the dance, everyone has experienced, and in their limited capacity they've talked about it, and yet no one has been able to talk about it. Kete keh keh ut jaye. They leave, they go, they're done. They've exhausted their span on this planet. Kete keh keh ut jaye. Itte kitte hor kare. Now this entire populace, if the Creator was to create more people, and they would join the forces of those that already exist or have come and gone, and they would still not be able to say enough. Itte kitte hor kare, ta aakh na sake kai ke. They would not be able to say. Jevod pave, tevod hoy. Jevod pave, tevod hoy. What's the next? Nanak jane sacha soye. Jevod pave, tevod hoy. Whatever the command, whatever the will, whatever this force wishes, that happens. Nanak jane sacha soy. There is only one Creator and one truth that knows its own power, and that is self-illumined, Sabhang. No one has created it. No one can fully talk about it. It's that truth that is self-illumined, self-effulgent, self-radiant, self-explanatory, self-manifested, that can only talk about the self. For the rest of us, we can only do what our limited capacity allows us and say, it's amol. It's priceless. It's beyond quantification, beyond being labeled, beyond being tabulated, beyond. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.